Hello, welcome to this week's episode of the not Nourished Kids podcast anymore. I'm called the Neurodivergent Toolkit. And today's guest is Kristy from the Wholesome Effect. Now, Kristy is a clinical nutritionist and she's going to talk about the topic of sleep today. So I'm super interested to hear all about sleep and also small things that we can do at home to help improve not only our sleep quality, but also our kids' sleep quality as well. So, Kristy, as a guest, I always ask guests about their story, like your why behind, especially the topic sleep. So, can you tell us a little bit about your sleep story?
Okay, well, it's a long story, so I'll try and make it short because I'm sure you put a time limit on this podcast. So basically, sleep's always been sort of a big issue with me, but I didn't really realize. Like as a child, I sort of had insomnia, but didn't really know it was insomnia at the time. Like I'd be young and my whole household would be asleep and I'd still be just laying in bed, awake, or I'd start my homework when the whole house went to sleep and just have my light up all night. And then I actually got to the really bad habit of like in the middle of the night, I would just, because I was wide awake, I would just go down and watch TV. And TV back in the day, it wasn't like Netflix today. It was pretty bad TV that was on the middle of the night. It was like scary horrors, like intense, like not really accustomed to a child and not really good for going back to sleep because your adrenaline's pumped up, your cortisol's pumped up. So I didn't know at that time how bad that was for my rest and my sleep and just my general well-being. But this was going through my life and I sort of went through patterns where it would get better and worse and I was like dealing with it, and health was a big part of my life, but I didn't really even focus on my sleep. I wasn't really looking out for that until I had my own child. And then he was born and he did not sleep. And I was like, oh my God, I'm being confronted with this right now, this biggest topic in my life of insomnia. And now I've got a child that won't sleep. And I'm like, how am I supposed to teach this kid how to sleep when I don't even know myself? So that's when I really started like focusing in on how to improve mine just to help my son. So that's when the whole journey started. And now he sleeps amazing and I sleep really quite well these days as well. So yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. And that's like, yeah. So the one kid that I have met that just started off as a newborn baby, just never sleeping. Like, and we're talking like 20-minute naps during the day maximum.
Yeah.
And like awake for so many hours, even from like
12 hours stints.
Yes.
Yeah, 12 hours since being awake as a newborn. Like, what is that?
I know.
Yeah.
And I know, like me, when I was raising my kids and the insomnia that I had, well, not insomnia, I'm not going to use that term, but sleep deprivation. And many mums go through sleep deprivation. And then how do you show up the next day and just be present and raise these babies and raise these other kids? It is just, there's a whole mental aspect to that. So poor sleep quality is huge. So next question is, can you tell us a little bit more about why sleep is then important for our body?
Well, there's a humongous reasons why. I could start with telling you like a little bit about what poor sleep quality and sleep deprivation does, just to give the horror story out there first. So basically, like your physical appearance and aging, it ages your body when you're deprived of sleep. And you also know, like, when you don't sleep well, you wake up and you don't look good. You don't feel vital. Your skin's not glowing. It's quite gray. It's dull. And then over time, that ages the skin. You've also got like that fatigue. You don't have stamina. You don't have vitality. It really impacts your immune system. So it actually weakens your immune response. So you're more prone to infections. Your cardiovascular health, hunger and weight, like all your hunger cues go out. So like you'd notice yourself when you're sleep deprived, you're just craving, and you're not craving healthy foods. You're craving like refined carbohydrates, sugars, and then also those hunger hormones don't turn on. So like you're turned off. So you're just reaching for food and you're just eating like endless calories to try and get energy. But the only energy you're going to get is from sleep, but you've already skipped that window. Your reaction time, so things like driving, you don't have that reaction time for skill sets like driving. You actually reduce that. So it's quite dangerous on the road as well. Your memory, focus, a huge one's mood and well-being. We know that our mood changes. it's quite easy to be angry when you're sleep deprived as opposed to happy and joyful. Sure, we've all had those frustration moments. Yes. Also inflammation, hormone dysregulation, which is a huge one. And like your cortisol as well. You get all that cortisol, that stress hormone. And yeah, I think they're key things why we should get sleep.
Yeah. Not only are they key, but I'm sure that 90% of people are affected by all of those issues that you just listed off there. A few things that I've heard around like food is like when we're sleep deprived, we then choose foods that are not so nourishing, and then those foods don't help us sleep. So it's like we repeat the same cycle. And then another one that I saw by a neuroscience that specializes in sleep, Tech Insider, I think is the company that he works for. But he said the recycle rate of a human being, if they don't get enough sleep, they can only have the mental capacity for 16 hours. And after 16 hours, you're classified as legally drunk if you go and drive a car. So like you said, with the driving the car, it severely impacts us. So that's a huge issue with like truck drivers, which I know like driver fatigue is a big one. So huge issues. So can you tell us a little bit more then? So we know why sleep is important and what it impacts. How much sleep is then recommended for children and adults?
Well, with sleep, it also depends on the seasons as well. Like we know that sleep's related to the dark light cycle. So like, during winter, we have less sunlight and more of a dark cycle during the night cycle. So more hours are recommended depending on the season. So during the winter, you're supposed to sleep longer compared to the summer. But as a general rule, for kids, you would say like 10 to 11 hours is a good sleep for a child. And they say that an adult can function healthily on like 7 to 9 hours. But there's individual variation with that as well. And I'd recommend more hours than that as well, especially during the winter months. And it's not just about how many hours you sleep, it's the quality of your sleep. So you might be sleeping that many hours, but you mightn't actually be going into a deep sleep because you might have impacted the melatonin, which is that major sleep hormone, by just certain behaviors and stuff you've done during the day. Mightn't have activated that special sleep hormone that actually promotes quality sleep as opposed to just sleep.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I haven't looked at the melatonin going into that deeper sleep, that more restful state. Because I know for me, I generally get 9 hours sleep, which is quite good. But a lot of the therapists that I work with, like a kinesiologist, say, like I don't go into that deeper sleep, that really restful sleep. And I know like sleep is such a huge issue. I've worked with many teachers running PDs all around the topic of sleep as well. And I get them to put their hand up to see how many hours that they sleep for. And like 50% of the room puts their hand up to say that they sleep for less than 6 hours a night. And then if you take the quality of the sleep into consideration, it's very minimal as well.
Yep. And if they've woken up during that time as well, like that might be 6 hours, but if they've woken up 3 times, that's not even 6 solid hours. Yeah.
So can you now talk to us about the things that contribute to sleep disruption?
Yeah, okay. We'll list these off. So there's quite a few. So one of the major things that I think everyone's probably heard about is blue light. So this is the light that's emitted from all our devices, from fluoro lights, TVs, even the little on and off switches on like your aircon, your chargers. They have this non-native blue light that's emitted. And when that light's switched on, your melatonin, it can't be produced at all. And so normally the sun, it will provide that light spectrum during the middle of the day. But what we've done with artificial lighting, we're producing that light spectrum from as soon as we wake up all the way up until just before we go to sleep. So that's one of the major things. There's also what you're eating before you go to bed, what you're watching. Like it's not just the blue lights and stuff from your devices, but it's also like how that's impacting your cortisol. If it's something exciting or scary or something that's bringing your adrenals up, like you're supposed to be calming and relaxing before you go to sleep. There's the airflow of your room, temperature is another thing. Like you need your room to be a certain like cooler temperature with a nice fresh airflow through it, not too many blankets. Heavy meals can impact that. Blood sugar, you're having like snacks at night. Some people like to eat those sugary snacks before they go to bed as well. Let's think, what else is there? Also morning sunlight. This is one I like to tell everyone about because it's one of the most healthiest things you can do when it's so free. It's the sun, it's right there. It shows us, it's like every day it comes up. Sometimes it's hidden behind clouds, but still it's there. But just that morning morning sunlight exposure has a massive impact on your energy and your hormones through the day, and then that melatonin production at night. So it starts when you wake up, actually. Your sleep routine starts when you wake up. One thing, caffeine. I think I've forgotten about that. Caffeine and alcohol are major contributors that really impact your sleep. Caffeine, I love coffee, but I have my coffee in the morning and I know my limit of when I need to turn that off. So some people are having coffee way up into the night and they think, oh, it's right, I have a coffee before I go to bed and I can still go to sleep. Yeah, but are you getting sleep quality with that? And then also alcohol, I just don't even have to go there. Alcohol, just, you're not going to get a good sleep with any amount of alcohol in your body. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome. So that's a big list. So let's break that down a little bit. So how important are our meals and then the timing of our meals leading up to bedtime?
So one of the things when we sleep, that's our time of rest. So we want our body to rest and restore. And if we've had a big meal before we've gone to bed, it means that our body, instead of being able to rest and heal and repair our body, it's actually having to focus on digestion. So we're not actually, like the whole purpose of sleep is to get that melatonin and all that antioxidant protection and repair. But if we're having to focus on digestion when we're sleeping, we're not getting the benefits of sleep, and also how that makes us feel, how uncomfortable that makes us feel. And if we're having like high refined carbohydrates before bed or sugary things, it's our blood sugar going high up, and then when it drops off in the night, that might wake us up as well. So also that blood sugar roller coaster through the night can impact that as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So do you give like a few things to avoid before going to bed? And then like, is there a window? Should we, if we want to go to sleep at 9 o'clock at night, fingers crossed for those that want to go to sleep earlier, should we stop eating at like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock? Like when should we stop our main meal?
Yeah. So a good time frame would be at least 2 hours. 3 hours, amazing, but sometimes that's really hard in our busy lifestyles. We might be getting home at 5:30 and then to cook dinner. So 2 to 3 hours, I think, is a really good window, and really avoiding that snacking before bed. But if you do have to snack, because you don't want to go to bed hungry either, because then that also is, it's going to impact your sleep. So maybe just something light then, like I know, something like a light protein snack, or a few nuts. Some people are into cheese. I don't do dairy, but some people think a little bit of like a cheese and a wholesome cracker or something could be something to have before bed. I always actually, before we go to bed, we always have like a really nice chamomile tea. I think it's a soothing thing before bed.
Yeah, and that sounds like a good bedtime routine, which I'm going to ask you a good bedtime routine shortly.
Yeah.
So then we've spoken about our meals. Great. What about melatonin supplements? Now, I know a few people that I've spoken to and they've given their children melatonin supplements. Does that solve the sleep problem, or what could they be doing instead of taking those melatonin supplements?
Yeah, so melatonin supplements, I hear people rave about them and some people not. It's not something that I recommend personally, but if it works for people, I think it's a great short-term fix while they work out the root cause. I'm always about the root cause. So if someone's not sleeping, you've got to find out why. You can't just mask it with something in the meantime with working out the reason why they're not sleeping or they're not getting that quality sleep. So I'd still advocate, if it's working for someone and it's supporting their kid to get to sleep, that's a short-term fix. But you still need to get to the root cause, and you want your own body to produce its own melatonin, not rely on something artificial like a supplement.
Yeah. perfect. And I know when this child in particular, they did really well regulating their mood and everything the next day following a really good night sleep with these melatonin supplements. So just like you said, though, it's a Band-Aid effect. You really need to get down to that root cause of why your body's not producing it. So that's perfect. So you've gone through the whole list of things that disrupt our sleep. Now, I know there's going to be a few things that we can do at home that's going to improve our sleep quality. So what is the perfect routine that you recommend to get a really good quality night's sleep?
Okay, so we'll start off with, again, it starts off in the morning. Well, actually, it starts off the night before, but let's just start with the morning. So in the morning, we don't want to be waking up and going on our devices and turning artificial light on straight away. And we don't want to go to devices because that just brings on that stress response straight away because you don't know what messages you've had or, it just brings that influence of work straight into your system. Your morning time is for you, and it's to, get in control of your nervous system. So we want to start the day. I always go out into sunlight. I do some movement, actually. I do some movement because sometimes I wake up before the sun. But then it's exposing yourself to that early morning sunshine. It doesn't have to be long, and you have to be smart about it too, depending on your skin complexion as well, about how much sun exposure you're going to get. So I'd start off with maybe 10 minutes for someone, but 20 minutes would be amazing. But even if 10 minutes is just going and sitting out and having a nice cup of tea or something out in the sun, or going for a little walk, taking the dog out, just starting the day with that.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Now, what if someone is just super busy in the morning? Can they still do sunlight throughout the day, like maybe at lunch? So instead of having their lunch inside, they could go out and get 5-10 minutes of sunlight during the day. Is that still going to have the same effect?
That's going to have benefits, but it's going to have a different benefit. There's different benefits from having that early sun exposure and what it does to your hormones for later in the day compared to the midday sun. So they have different benefits for you. It is that morning sun. So then it's just troubleshooting. If they're really busy, maybe they just need to try and reschedule some time, or we try and work out how they could fit that in. Even if they're driving, it's maybe putting your window down and having the sun come through, because it needs to be unfiltered sunlight as well. So it can't be through sunglasses. It can't be through a big, beautiful glass door that you've got. It has to be unfiltered, direct sunlight.
Yep. Great. Mm-hmm. You're not pointing a finger at anyone in particular with great glass windows.
Yeah, you have beautiful glass windows, but I'm just saying a lot of people do. They think, but I just sat inside and I sat in my couch and I looked out the window and I'm I know that's beautiful, but it needs to be so many people do that from the comfort of being inside, but it really needs to be direct sun exposure.
Yeah. And outside.
And that's through your eyes as well. It's through your skin and your eyes is how you get that benefit. So no sunglasses.
Okay, excellent. So that's sunlight and that's early morning. And then, of course, there would be our food choices during the day is going to then impact our sleep.
Yeah, but we don't need to start on that yet. So the sleep choice, food, that's a whole big discussion of what you're eating through the day. That's a whole other podcast. But maybe at night, it's having that meal, like we said before, maybe 2-3 hours before bed. And not a huge meal as well. Nothing we don't want to have a massive big meal before bed. Save the bigger meals through the day, and then nighttime maybe something smaller. But I always like to have a very well balanced plate. I like to have my protein, some complex carbohydrates. I don't do grains, but I like sweet potato, some pumpkin, potato, those sorts of things, and also a lot of the non-starchy vegetables as well, and some fat on there too. Just a well-balanced plate before bed. And sometimes I do like to snack afterwards because I'm quite active during the day. And while I'm human, I do snack. So usually by then I might get some a little bit of yogurt and some seeds and some nuts. And if I'm still hungry after dinner, I might snack on a little bit of that if I have to.
Yep.
Which I do.
Excellent. You're still human. Amazing.
Yes.
So
so
what
the whole
else?
bedtime routine.
Yes.
Is that it's then and I know everyone likes their devices and they like watching TV, and that's all fine, and that's family time as well. So it's all about connection. But then it's also that there's a time to turn it off. So turning it off at least 90 minutes before actually going to bed, and finding some different calming activities. So for some families, that could be board games. It could be doing some colouring in or some creative arts. We've also got some movement. Like my son, he really likes to do a lot of tickle and dynamic sort of play before he goes to bed, and that actually really calms his nervous system. Whereas some kids, that might amp them up too much, but for him it really works. He really likes doing those sorts of activities. And usually about an hour, about 30 minutes before we go to bed, we like to have our tea ritual. So we do that together. We have some chamomile tea. I also put a few supplements in there, some magnesium and some glycine in there, and they really support that sleep production as well, like that onset of sleep. The glycine also really benefits that drop in temperature. So before you go to sleep, there's those circadian rhythms in our body where the darkness promotes that melatonin and that sleep cycle, but also temperature. So some people might like to have a warm shower an hour before going to sleep as well, because that warmth then activates your body to cool down, because you want your body to cool down before you go to sleep as well.
And you've touched on blue lights earlier as being a part of the sleep disruption. Can you tell us what sort of routine you've got in place to block out some of those blue lights, especially before bedtime?
Yeah, well, I'm probably a little bit further on in my journey than most people. So I don't even use overhead lights whatsoever in my house. I don't even remember how long ago I stopped using those. So I actually just have, what we use is the blue light blocking lamps. So they're just red lamps or amber lamps. So we just walk around the house with those. We take them to the toilet with us. We walk them here because we don't. So basically, for most households, they mightn't have those lamps yet. That might be another level up. But what they can do is that, again, that 90 minutes before bed is just dimming the lights in the house. It doesn't need to be lit up. It just needs to start lighting it down, dimming it, maybe just having a few lights on in the house. If you can, get the amber light bulbs, but just like the sun's going down, we just want to like lighten the house as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing.
Can you explain the amber lights? So that's like getting your body used to, like bringing your body into its natural sleep cycle is the amber light. And then the red light that you can get is okay to sleep with. I know, like for my son who needs a night light, he needs some sort of light in his room. And instead of having a full-blown fluoro light, we've swapped it out to that red light. So that's still not going to disrupt his sleep. Is that
it's not going to be like the blue lights and the flickering lights that we get from our normal light bulbs and things. So the amber light is more for that sunset sort of time, because it's still got a little bit of color in it. It's still mimicking that sunset, the change in color. And then the red light is after the sun's gone down, and the red light for that night light as well, which you can use at night. And for those that need a night light, the red is definitely the best option for that.
So, and then if you don't have those options of the lights, the globes, you can also get the blue light blocking glasses.
Yeah, the blue light blocking glasses, that's another option as well. But then a lot of people, they think, okay, just because I've got the glasses, it means I can be on my device. No, that's not a Band-Aid effect. It's also the device has other impacts as well. And also you're also absorbing blue light through your skin. So even though you're protecting your eyes from it, the blue light's still absorbing through your skin. So, but yeah, the blue light blocking glasses, I've been using them for years. They're a brilliant strategy, and that really worked well for me. That's where I started my journey, was the blue light blocking glasses and the dimming the natural lights that we had, like the normal household lights. And then I've gone more advanced and just got the red lamps only and the blue light blocking glasses that we've done. And the other is also the ecology of your bedroom for when you go to sleep. Like your bedroom is for sleep, but it needs to have that memory association. So we save the bedroom just for sleep. It needs to have good, like clean air. We don't want to have like a stale room. You need airflow. There needs to be a certain temperature. The heat of the room, you don't want it too hot. You don't want big, thick blankets on as well, because for your melatonin, your sleep cycles, you also need a lower ambient temperature as well.
Okay, so there's a lot of information there. Now, parents might be like, oh my God, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. So if parents could choose one thing to start with, what's the one thing that you recommend? I
would recommend turning the devices off at least 90 minutes before bed and doing some relaxation activities and creating some nightly rituals. And that's unique to each household, what they decide to do in that time. But it's really just finding what works for you in that flow of what you can do without a device. There's so many things you can do. There's breathwork things, there's mindfulness colouring ins, there's lots of stuff you can do in that time, and family bonding as well.
Yeah, that's something that we've improved in our house over the last 6 months. Like TV goes off at 6 o'clock, and then, dinner and showers and all of that sort of stuff.
Yes,
but then the kids might get into some artwork. They might spend some quiet time in their bedroom, and that might just be playing or doing art. Or we do board games or chess. Chess is a huge thing in our house at the moment. So everyone comes around the table and does that. So that's a really good connection. We do dim the main lights when we're doing that, or if they're in their bedroom, we don't have the main light on. My son has his amber light. The other kids have just a normal lamp. My son's sleep is more affected than my other kids, but I will invest in more of those blue lights. But again, it's that slow progression. And
exactly. Yeah, mine's taken years. I've been on this journey for a long time, and this is where I'm at, and there's still more things I can improve. But it's all just it's baby steps, and it's always just one change that you can make, and then the power that has to make further changes in the future is profound.
Excellent. So much information discussed today. Was there anything else around sleep that you think that we haven't ticked off, or do you think I've asked all the questions? Or
you've asked all the questions. There's lots we can talk on sleep, but just to make it really simplified now. So basically, the nighttime routine. So 2 hours before we go to bed, we're having dinner. Okay, 90 minutes before bed, we're turning off screens and we're dimming lights. Then within that last 90 minutes, that's when we can be having showers, relaxation time, having some nice, maybe the tea ritual. I really do love the tea ritual because there's some really beautiful sleeping herbs like chamomile, passiflora, just different calming herbs. And you can have some the magnesium's great before bed, especially magnesium glycinate is a really good one. And that the best time before that is that half an hour before bed. So you could stretch out that 30 minutes before bedtime could be that tea ritual as well. Yeah. So I think that's
great. All right. So if people want to find you, do you have some social media or emails or website? How can people get more advice from you?
The best way to access me would be through my website, which is thewholesomeeffect.com.au. And from there, they can find all my other contact details.
Awesome. Perfect. And I don't even think I mentioned that we're sisters.
Maybe people could tell when they were looking at us. They're going, "Oh, these girls look so similar."
Yeah, twins.
Yes.
One's purple and one's
exactly. Yes.
Great to chat to you, and I know you've got many other topics that we talk about, so I'm looking forward to interviewing you again on a different topic. But I hope this was just a great opener for parents that might be struggling with their own sleep, but also with their children's sleep as well. So there's lots of practical tips in there. So thanks very much for coming, and we'll chat again soon.
Cheers. Bye.